Support for Sportspage is provided by First Central Bank, full-service banking from 6 locations in Warrensburg, Holden, Higginsville, and Odessa. More information is available on their Facebook page or at the website firstcentral.net. Member FDIC. By the University Store. The University Store is the official headquarters for Mules and Jenny's emblem clothing, gifts, and UCM memorabilia. Books, office supplies, art supplies, and more are available at the University Store, located on the lower floor of the Elliott Union on the UCM campus in Warrensburg. By Parker's Supermarket and Pharmacy, a home-owned and operated store that listens to its customers. Whether it's a hypoallergenic formula or a new exotic vegetable, Parker strives to serve the unique needs of the area. The mission at Parker's is to make grocery shopping a welcoming experience. And promotional support for Sportspage is provided by 1450 Cocoa and 98.5 The Bar. 1450 Cocoa and 98.5 The Bar, the radio home of University of Central Missouri Athletics.
Coming up next on the Central Missouri Sports Page, we'll chat with Mules football coach Jim Svoboda about the win over Missouri Southern and this week's showdown with number 1 ranked Pittsburg State. We'll also talk UCM cross country with head coach Kirk Pedersen. In our Sports Page Student Athlete Spotlights, we'll meet the sack master of the MIAA and a high-flying member of the Mules cross country team. So stay tuned. An action-packed hour of UCM Mules and Jenny Sports comes your way next. And hello again, everybody. Thanks for watching the University of Central Missouri Sports Page. I'm Shawn Jones, and joining me to kick off the show is Mules football coach Jim Svoboda. Coach Svoboda, welcome back.
Hi, Shawn.
Well, we're officially at the midway point of the 2012 season. You're 4-1. Give us your thoughts. What's gone well? What needs to improve?
First of all, unbelievable how fast it's gone. Played great competition. Really proud of the players. We're, as you mentioned, coming up playing the number 1 team in the country, and I think they're well seasoned to play in a game like that. We played in front of big crowds at home. We played nationally ranked teams, top 10 teams. We played on TV, and so I think we're in pretty good position for a game like this. But different aspects of our game have come along as the season has progressed, and there's still a lot of things that we need to get better at. But as characteristic with some of the youth that we have on the team, we'll be able to hopefully take those guys to the next level.
You're an offensive guy. Your offenses have been outstanding here. You've set 63 school records and 20 conference records, but I know as the head coach you have to be awfully pleased with your defense. Considering the competition and the way they've played, they've really been outstanding.
They really have, and particularly against the run. And they had a little edge to them coming into the season last year. Probably didn't perform quite as well as they would have liked to in a few games, although they were outstanding in a few games too. We're a lot more consistent, and against tremendous competition. We faced some really good running backs this year and some overall outstanding athletes, and they've consistently done well in stopping the run and making teams one-dimensional.
Defensive line's an awfully good group.
It really is, and we're deep there, and we've got a lot of strong performers there, and we can rotate them in and out, keep them fresh with the way offenses are tempoing people right now is important as well.
We were talking on the radio last week. We probably have not given enough credit to your offensive line. That may be the most veteran group on your team.
Without a doubt it is. We got 4 seniors on the offensive line, 4 redshirt seniors on the offensive line, and they've been doing well over the, particularly in pass pro over the last couple of years, but this year they've really taken it up a notch in terms of their run blocking and really played consistent all along and kind of helping us in terms. It's worked out well because we got such young kids at the skill spots.
Well, you mentioned the schedule. You're 4-1, and it's been a challenge. You played the national television game. You played number 3 Northwest, Missouri Western, who's now number 5, went on the road to Lindenwood, a team that's 4-1. And then this past week you hosted Missouri Southern. They run the triple option. It's a very different look. We talked last week on the show about the fact that you would have to value your possessions, and we were right.
We were right. We had the ball about 20 minutes, which is 1/3 of the game, and gets a little nerve-wracking. And of course we we tried to approach that with our players, that's probably how it was going to be, that you need to be patient on offense. When you get it, maximize your opportunities. We were going to take more shots in the game in terms of long plays. That worked out well for us. We only ran 62 plays and scored 35 points, so we're pretty efficient.
You talk about explosive plays over, I believe, 15 yards in your offense is an explosive play. You led at the end of the quarter 14-10. You'd run 6 offensive plays. At one point late in the quarter, you were up 14-7, and you'd had the ball for 1 minute. So you had some explosive plays early in this one.
Well, you usually have a number of those by design in your offense, and you practice them, and they're strategic in terms of fitting with the rest of your offense, and so when you're able to do that, it's real gratifying and important. As you mentioned, the explosive play statistic, we actually consider a run over 10 and a pass over 15 as explosive plays. We had 15 of those in the game, which was really good. And
I thought you guys handled the adjustments fairly well. We talked all week about the fact that Southern didn't throw the football. They were averaging 45 yards a game passing, but they had an All-American wide receiver from the previous regime in the previous year in Landon Zirkle. And what do? Early in the game, they go play action 63 yards to Zirkle. But you guys stayed to your guns. Coach Jeter and his staff didn't change their approach defensively. And I thought, if nothing else, that spoke volumes about the confidence that he and his players had in the game plan.
For sure. They got their average in one play there. And that kid's Zirkle. He's an outstanding player, all-conference player last year. So, you analyze why it happened, and the fact of the matter was we just had a kid that was out of position. It wasn't a scheme thing or anything, and that's always the challenge anyway when you play a team that pounds the ball like that, and you're assignment oriented, and then when they pull up and run a play action pass, that really makes it a challenge. So they got us one time. There was no panic there. We just adjusted and did what we had to do, and that was it.
One thing we talked about last week, too many turnovers despite winning at Truman. This week, 1 turnover plus 4 in turnover takeaway. Much better.
Yeah, much better is right. You don't want to mess with that statistic too much. If you get into a situation like that, you don't want the kids thinking, well, we're doomed because we're turning it over. You still want to stay positive and do what you have to do to win the game, but statistically the odds are against you, and I think our players get that. A lot of times it's just it can be a fluky thing. Again, we're developing some young guys too, and sometimes that's part of the equation. So, it can be the elephant in the room too. It's like everybody knows it. Well, yeah, you shouldn't throw an interception, you shouldn't fumble the ball. Everybody gets that. If you dwell on it a lot, it's like you get what you emphasize sometimes. So you address it schematically, and I think we'll be better in that area.
And you turned the tables with Missouri Southern. You forced 5 takeaways in the game. Outstanding performance there by your defense.
Really good, and I think a lot of that is because they're playing so physical right now, and when they do make a play or when they gain a couple yards, usually there's a price to pay with the physicalness of our defense and receiving the ball and running the ball. So that's a great addition to the scheme of our things, that's for sure.
The Mules beat Missouri Southern 35-10. We're talking it over with Coach Svoboda here on the Central Missouri Sports Page. Look at the performance there. Ron Lloyd, 8 catches, 197 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The 197 yards, the third most receiving yards in a game in school history. Last year, of course, Jamar Howard had 230 against Emporia State. Eddie Coates in 1969 against Eastern Illinois second, and now Ron Lloyd third. He was sensational.
Well, there's your efficiency right there. 8 receptions, almost 200 yards, so that's a pretty good average per catch for sure. And that's what we wanted to do going into the game, was have some plays like that. And then Ronry stepped it up. Of course, you got to protect the quarterback, and he's got to throw a good ball for that to happen as well.
35 points in 20 minutes of possession time. That's pretty efficient effort.
That's efficient. You'd like to be able to do that every game, obviously, but we did it against the team that we had to do it against, and maximize your possessions, and so that was real gratifying.
And Colt Smith bounced back from a tough game against Truman. Just the 1 turnover, looked a little more comfortable and solid back there.
He did. And a lot of times when interceptions happen, they aren't necessarily just one guy's fault. And so, again, he's learning. He gets that you can't give the ball to the other team, and he'll be better off for it. Again, it's Colt's third start here. He missed spring ball, so I think he's really grown leaps and bounds when you really look at it and realistically.
Last three opponents heading into this one had rushed for 80, 53, and 83 against your defense. Southern came in averaging almost 300 yards a game rushing out of that triple option. They had 151 yards rushing at 2.7 yards per carry. So once again, the defense outstanding and stout against the run.
Yeah, that 2.7 is probably the stat. When they're running the ball as many times as they are, you really are more concerned about that stat. 150, generally speaking, would probably be a little too much for our defense, but playing against the triple option like that is a good performance.
10,279 at Walton Stadium, Kennedy Field for that 35-10 win last Saturday over Missouri Southern. Another great crowd.
Yeah, I was curious after the first couple of games if they would keep turning out, and boy, they sure did, and it was great to see. I think we have the best place in the country to play a football game. Great support, and in this smaller community, you'd rather be in a smaller community where our team is their team, and our players feel it.
Let's talk about something that's interesting for fans. I want to get your perspective as a coach and with your players. The AFCA poll is a top 25 poll that is voted on by coaches in the country. There are 11 teams from our super regional ranked in the top 25, and of course only 6 at the end of the year make the playoffs. Now, fortunately for us, I guess the AFCA poll has nothing to do with playoff selection. The Mules are 4-1. The schedule we've played, our opponents 18-2 minus our game. There's a couple teams in there that are undefeated in our league that are ranked this week whose opponents have 0, 1, or 2 wins. There's a team that has the same record as us that's way up there that we beat. There's a team that has the same record as us that lost to a team that has 1 win. Is that a chip for the kids? Is it anything that you pay attention to? Bring up your thoughts on it.
I got to be honest with you, we haven't talked about it at all. We still have a lot of work to do, and it's really been the one game at a time approach for our players, kind of nameless, faceless opponent. And so, it is interesting. I actually am a rater on the AFCA poll, so.
What's that tell us?
Well, coaches are busy,
Sure.
and it's all coaches that do it. And so how much coaches from the East know about our league and vice versa, is a little bit questionable, but you try to do your homework. I think history speaks for itself in terms of where the best teams in the country have come from the last 20 years in Division II football. So, of course, you're a little biased towards your conference, but to me, there's no question that this region, this conference, is the best in the country.
And the Mules are ranked 17th in the D2Football.com poll, 16th in the BSN poll, so you are getting some accolades nationally. And those all-important regional rankings will come out here in a couple weeks for the first time. Those are the ones that set the playoff stage. We're a long way from that. We're just past the halfway point, but we do have a very meaningful game coming up on Saturday down in Pittsburgh, Kansas. It's your 4-1 Mules against the 4-0 Pittsburgh State Gorillas, who are the #1 team in the country in all the polls. Pitt State won the national championship last year. I know you're focusing on the nameless, faceless opponent, but after the opener, the fact you were 0-1, to win 4 straight and set up arguably the biggest game in the country in D2 for your kids to play in, that has to be gratifying.
It really is, and that's how we've approached it too. It's this is a great opportunity for our players. Pittsburgh's always been a fantastic venue for Division II football, and so the fact is that there's a lot of kids that play football their whole life and don't get to play in a game like this. So we want our kids really to embrace the experience, and there's no question in my mind we're going to go down there and give our best effort.
How good do you feel taking a battle-tested group in there against the opponents you've played to this point, facing another outstanding team, but not the first time you faced a great team? Right,
and I think you gain confidence from that experience, and it can work both ways, but we've gone through some very challenging times, and as I mentioned earlier, played in front of big crowds, played on national TV, played highly ranked opponents, and come out at 4-1 at this point in time. I told our players I would be confident if I were you.
I'll tell you the thing that's maybe the most strange to me, and you have every bit as many matchups with Pitt State going back to your Northwest days. This is the first time I remember that we're going to take a team that likes to throw it and can run it in there, and we're going to play a team that likes to throw it and can run it. It's been the opposite of that for many years in Pittsburgh.
Right, and they're really balanced. I've always thought that Coach Beck did a great job of adapting what he does to the players. They've been run oriented over the years, but they've done it out of a lot of different formations. They've always been really challenging to defend. They got a kid that can throw it around pretty good right now. He worked with their offensive coordinator, Coach Rampy, in high school, and so they know each other pretty well. And you know, they have a lot of balance in their offense right now. It's very challenging.
2 o'clock kick Saturday in Pittsburgh, Kansas. Ought to be a lot of fun. 4-1 Mules, 4-0 PItt State Gorillas. Coach Boda, thanks for the visit.
Thank
Good
you.
luck this week.
It will be fun.
Coming up next on Sportspage, we'll get to know Mules senior defensive end Latavious Davis, the MIAA's leader in sacks, tackles for loss, and forced fumbles. And that's next here on KMOS-TV.
We've spent the better part of a year literally piecing together the pivotal moments of the lives of Mitt Romney and Barack Obama. We talked to lots of people who say this is an election that's too close to call. Maybe in the midst of all the white noise of all the other television networks and newspapers, the American voters should have an opportunity to hear more about who these men are, where they came from, what were the pivotal moments that made them, as a way of predicting how they would be as President of the United States. We've drilled about as deeply as you can drill, and our job is to stitch it all together and take a long view of who these men have been all their lives and how what is happening right before our eyes has been affected by, caused by, and is the result of who they are and who they've become.
KMOS-TV salutes the many businesses and corporations that have supported this public television station. Whether it's through program underwriting, volunteer commitment, in-kind donations, program development funding, or event sponsorship, Central Missouri residents are the beneficiaries of their contributions. Kids programming, news programming, fine arts presentations, cooking shows, musical entertainment, educational programming. All enhanced and improved because of our business and corporate partners. See how your business can become involved in the support of public television and KMOS-TV. Contact me today at 573-814-9208 or Beasley at KMOS.org. Also, you can find us and like us on Facebook.
Thank you for watching KMOS Channel 6.1, Sedalia, Warrensburg.
And welcome back to the University of Central Missouri Sports Page. In this segment, we shine the student-athlete spotlight on Mules senior defensive end Latavious Davis.
For their participation in the Mules race.
I'm originally from Lakely, Georgia. It's a little small town. South of Atlanta, it's like 3 hours away. When I started playing football, I got introduced by a friend. He was working with the fire department. He seen me when I was young, like 8 or 9. He actually told me I should come out for the team because I was pretty big for my size. So I've been playing ever since Part 1. So that's how I basically started right now. Practice for me, I attack practice every day like you the underdog. So I feel like the guys feed off my energy. So I know when I step out there, I got to be all about business. With me being a captain, so I got to lead by a good example. So that's how I feel like I attack practice every day like we the underdogs. Practice like the underdogs. So attack every week like it's your last. Oh man, my relationship with the coaches. Normally, Coach Clement, me and him pretty close. Ever since I got here, he took me in with open arms and just showed me the way on and off the field. It helped me become a better person off the field and on the field. So Coach Clement, me and Coach Clement were really close, but the coaching staff overall is outstanding. So I love the coaching staff. The way I prepare myself for a game, like before the game, I go to YouTube and look up some Ray Lewis clips, speeches, and pump up videos by Tebow. So that just really get me in the mindset of playing football. So I go out and attack the game. So yes, I do, because I'm a very vocal leader. Like I said before, the team feed off my energy, I feel like, and if I'm performing good and doing good things, I feel like I bring momentum to the team and everything. So yeah, my playing style is very, I say, physical and quick. I'm a quick person, like a pass rush person. If I compare myself to anybody, I would want to be compared to Von Miller. I'm the type like Von Miller. So I'm one of those type of guys, not very big, defensive end, really quick, but I can play the run and the pass, especially the pass. So that's how I compare myself. Main goal we focusing on right now is getting to the national championship. And how we do that is attack each week. Like the opponent, we don't have no name for opponent. We just call them opponent 6, like the team. So that's our main goal, is just staying focused and trying to get to the national championship and being the best team we can be. Well, I was in junior college and I was actually leaving junior college after 1 year. And I got a call from Coach Jack Curtis, who now coaching with Georgia Southern. So he gave me a call and I checked out the program, looked it up on the internet, and felt like it'll be a nice place for me to come. So I felt comfortable with it, so I took a flight out here and I loved it since. Being a student athlete can be difficult at times. It's just really time management, you know what I'm saying? You have to manage your time off the field. When you get out of practice, I know you be tired, so you have to go and do schoolwork. So just attack the schoolwork, just how you attack the field. So that's how I manage my time. My major is physical education. After college, I plan on, if I don't get a look from the NFL or any pro teams, I plan on taking my degree and go teach back at, be a PE teacher and a coach. So that's what I'm planning on doing after I get out of college. I just like to say to the fans, thanks for all your support and everything you do to us. It's really a great atmosphere here to play in front of such a tremendous crowd. And I appreciate all the fans and support for all that. And Coach Clement and all the coaching staff for bringing me in and making me a better person on and off the field. Appreciate you, Coach.
Through 5 games in his senior season, Davis leads the MIAA in sacks with 6, tackles for loss with 8.5, and forced fumbles with 5. Coming up next on Sportspage, we'll take a look back at how Central Missouri's fall sports teams performed this past week, and we'll visit with UCM cross-country coach Kirk Pedersen. All that's on the way when Sportspage continues in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Chuck Ambrose. Join me as I host Central Missouri Tomorrow. In this episode, we take the show on the road as we visit Missouri's Katy Trail State Park. We'll hit the trail and ride a popular section between Sedalia and Rocheport. Along the way, we'll visit with government leaders and a business owner and hear firsthand the impact Missouri's largest state park has had on the people and communities along its length. Join me for Central Missouri Tomorrow.
I choose to be independent, to blaze my own trail. I choose what to create, how to organize, and where to share.
Choose Red began as an inspiration and has grown into a way of life. Ever since the Choose Red campaign began in January 2011, students have been at the heart of the effort. All of our ads feature current UCM students. Who better to tell the UCM story than those who have experienced what it means to choose Red and the opportunities they've had because of that choice. In August of 2012, the office responsible for development of the campaign held open auditions in the Elliott Union. University Relations staff members met more than 100 talented students who made the decision to choose Red. The students shared their stories and their talents with us in hopes of being able to become part of the official Choose Red campaign. UCM students who audition will have the chance to be in any number of Choose Red campaign materials, such as TV commercials, 30-second radio spots, web videos, billboards, brochures, ads, and numerous print publications. Even Central Man stopped by to add to the fun and excitement of Choose Red Auditions 2012. With so many students willing to be part of the campaign, it's no wonder a record number of students have once again decided to choose red.
You're watching KMOS Channel 6.1, Sedalia, Warrensburg.
And once again, thanks for watching Sportspage here on KMOS-TV, Missouri PBS. Coming up in just a moment, we'll visit with UCM cross-country coach Kirk Pedersen. But first, let's take a look at how the other UCM sports teams performed this past week. And we start with the Jennies volleyball team. They won 3 MIAA road matches in 3 days in 3 states last week. Thursday, the Jennies won 3-0 at Missouri Southern. Friday, they defeated Central Oklahoma 3-zip in Edmond. And then on Saturday, the Jennies closed out the road trip, defeating Pittsburg State 3-1 in Pittsburg, Kansas. The Jennies are now 13-3 overall, 7-0 in the MIAA, and they are ranked 7th this week in Division II. The 10th-ranked Mules golf team finished in 2nd place at the Lindenwood Invitational. That was held at Whitmore Country Club in St. Charles this past Monday and Tuesday. Cy Moritz and Robbie Huey each fired a 2-day total of 146 to tie for first, and Moritz won a playoff to capture medalist honors. The Jennies soccer team defeated SBU 2-1 last Friday in MIAA action at the South Recreation Complex. Then on Sunday, the Gens traveled to Kirksville for a non-conference matchup with Truman. The Bulldogs won the match 1-0. Jennies now 7-1-2 overall. They are 4-0-1 in the MIAA. The UCM Mules and Jennies cross-country teams are 3 events into their respective seasons. And joining us now to talk about his 26th year at the helm of the UCM cross-country programs is head coach Kirk Pedersen. Kirk, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, John.
Well, we're 3 events in. Start with the Jennies and then the Mules. How do you feel about how things are going to this point?
Been some really ups and downs. When we have 2 teams, 2 different programs going. Our women's program the last couple of years has struggled a little bit and hasn't been up to the standards that we like to be. And they've come out of the gate doing quite well. We're led by Casey Hession, a senior from Willard that's a very strong leader of this team, and we've had a lot of support from a strong group of sophomores. So very pleased with where we're at. The men's team coming off defending championship in the MIAA the last 2 seasons. We have a lot of high hopes for that group. We've been hit by some injuries, and that slowed us down a little bit. Laban Cialo, who was defending MIAA champion the last 2 years, has not run a race yet, and so we hope to get him back this week and back in racing, but we'll see. That's day to day. We've had some other little injuries, and feel like we have a good core and a great potential to be another good team and defend our conference title.
As we've looked at the results, that's the first thing I noticed with both teams, the fact that you don't just have one really good runner on each team or even 2. You've got a nice core with both teams, and of course that's the way ultimately you win in cross country.
There's a good mix of upperclassmen leadership and some younger athletes that are really coming into their own.
You mentioned the injuries on the men's side. In a lot of sports, that can be devastating. No matter what time of the year you have those injuries, it can hurt you in making the postseason, for example, if you were to lose games during the regular season due to guys being out with injury. Cross country, that's not the case. Now, they've got to stay in shape, though, as they come back from those injuries.
Right. The emphasis of our season is always at the end. We have a conference championship on October 20th. That's what determines who wins the conference. We don't have meets with Truman and Northwest week in, week out, like Coach Svoboda here has done, and that can be pretty draining. It all comes down to one day, so that's good and bad. Mm-hmm. If you're off that day, it's not so good. So the emphasis of our training and everything we do is leading up to the conference meet, and then ultimately, hopefully, going to regionals and doing well there and to the national championships. So it's a work in progress right now, and we're not quite ready, but we hope to get there.
One tradition you have, though, is you start the season at home with the Mule Run. That was back on September 7th, and I know for you that's just a great place to start. The course, the knowledge of the course, the ability to do it at home just kind of gets you on that path towards the postseason.
We're fortunate to have that. The golf course is great for us, great for our team. A lot of programs don't have a home meet, and cross-country courses are difficult things to have and difficult to find place to have cross-country courses. But we have that. We're very fortunate to have the support of Tim Poe and Chris Port at the golf course, plus with the grounds crew. So we're able to close it down and run, and we have a high school meet, college meet. It's a great event for us, and I think our athletes really appreciate the fact that they are home, and it's a great feel to them.
Well, let's talk about the team. We are 3 events in now. Of course, the Mule Run got you started, and then this past week you were at the Roy Griak Invitational. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Individually, on the women's side, you mentioned her earlier, Casey Hessian, a senior from out of Willard, off to a great start, 3rd place finish in that first event, and she's going to be the leader for this Jenny's cross-country team.
She has been the leader the last 2 years for this program, and was our top finisher last year at the conference meet and probably all of our events. We've got a couple sophomores that have made great progress, and Megan Glayman from Kearney, Missouri, and Mel Wilson from Raytown, Missouri have come into their own and are really running very well right now. And we have a host of people behind them that are making good progress as well.
The men's side, 2-time defending champions in the league. It starts, obviously, with Laban Cialo, your 2-time defending champion in the league. You mentioned he has yet to run. What's his status as we start to head towards those postseason races?
Well, we have a groin injury that's day to day. In fact, we keep thinking he's going to be ready every meet. He's been entered in every meet, and at some point, the day before or the day of, we pulled him out. Simply not to risk further injury and set us back farther. So hopefully this week we'll get an opportunity to do that and be a good tune-up for the MIAA Championships.
Adam Treadway, another key cog in this Mules cross-country program, a sophomore, all MIAA last year, Louisiana product. Kind of a freak injury last week, so hopefully you'll get him back healthy soon.
Hopefully get him back. As you said, I've done this for a while, and I've heard of some strange things, strange injuries. Actually fell in the bathtub at a hotel in Minnesota, and so when he came back to tell me that, I was a little bit surprised and shocked and bewildered that something like that, after running 80 miles a week for many weeks this summer and this fall, that we would have something like that happen.
A guy that's really stepped up for you this year is Tyler Stuber. Now, we're going to spotlight him later in the show for a variety of reasons. He's a pilot. He's also a pretty darn good runner from out of Liberty, and he stepped his game up big so far.
He has. I think he made big gains last spring in track and field, was all-conference in the 10,000 meter run and the 5,000 meter at the MIAA Championships, and that he's always been a very hard worker, and that's propelled him into a good cross-country season.
Well, last week you went up to Minneapolis to take part in the Roy Griak Invitational. Normally you head up there and face some cooler weather. It was actually warm up there, but that's a really important event now because you're facing in-region competition. Talk about how the Mules and Jennies performed up north. Well, again,
the men, with some injuries, we have high expectations. We wanted to see some other teams in the central region that are very strong that we'll see later this year. We ended up finishing 9th in that competition. Had some good performances, but in cross country you score 5, and if you're missing your top runner, that makes it a little bit more of a challenge, and in this case I think we were. Women's meet is very competitive. The central region is very balanced, very deep, and we were able to finish 9th in that competition against a pretty good field and very close to a lot of those teams. So I think there's a lot of promise for them to get better and make some big strides this year.
And then this coming week, this Saturday, you go to Fayette for the Central Methodist Invitational. We're in the last event now before we get to the conference and the regional and the national event. So what are your team goals heading to Fayette for that CMU Invitational?
Well, this will be a smaller meet, smaller numbers, where we had maybe 400 athletes in the race at Minnesota. We'll have 60 or 70, and that'll be more of a conference feel from that aspect, in gaps and covering gaps and trying to run with teammates and working on a little more strategy during that, and just a tune-up. We want to be ready and feel good about where we're at after this race going into the MIAA Championships.
And of course, one thing with cross country, the course and the type of course and how your team adjusts to that is very important. The MIAA Championships are October 20th in Maryville. What type of course are you going to see in Maryville?
Really not sure. We haven't been up there for a considerable amount of time. They have a golf course on the west side of campus that's used for that. We did run a conference championship up there 10 or 12 years ago, and so My memory sometimes fades a little bit, but I think it's a fairly challenging course, and hopefully in the coming weeks we're going to learn more about it.
Where are you at in the training process right now in terms of getting your team to peak at the end, and has that been affected, especially on the men's side, by the injuries?
Well, I think we're a little bit tired, and we kind of want to be at this time of the year. A lot of our men are running 80 miles a week, and some of our women are running over 60 miles a week right now. We meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6:15 and run. We meet at 3:30 in the afternoon and run again and do workouts. And so we're getting close to where we need to start pulling back a little bit on the training load and work on quality things as we move to the championship part of our season.
It's a new MIAA too now with 15 teams. Every year I ask you who the teams to beat are. I guess start with the women. Who are the teams to beat, and are any of these newcomers going to be outstanding additions to the league?
Well, as we mentioned before, I think there's great balance, a lot of good teams in our conference. I don't know if there's a great team that can contend for a national title, but I think there's a lot of good teams. Pittsburgh State has done well last year, winning the conference title, eventually going on to nationals and doing pretty well, and so one would consider them to be a favorite. Missouri Southern has a strong team. Southwest Baptist, which we've seen this year, has a strong team. Northwest Missouri has been successful. So it's really a lot of the old schools, so to speak, in the conference that are leading the charge. And we feel like we can run with most of those schools at this point.
How about on the men's side? Who are the teams to beat, besides the Mules, the two-time defending champs?
I would say Missouri Southern would be a team that has a lot of potential. They were a very young team last year that finished third in the conference, I think second or third in the region behind us. And I think they're a team with a lot of potential. They're hosting the national meet at Missouri Southern this year, and so the regional meet and national meet will be there. And there'll be an extra emphasis on them trying to qualify for the national championships, I'm sure.
I know that helps them. You've run several times in Joplin at MIAA events over the years. How much does that help you to have that regional and national meet 3 hours away in Joplin?
Well, we have familiarity with the course, and that's always important. It's also important if you've had success on that course. Last year winning a conference title, gives you a little confidence, and feel like that's, an important part of that, yeah.
Let's go back to Laban. Last year, obviously, a guy he won a national championship in track and field in the 5,000, and is a guy who obviously was a two-time conference champion in cross country. If he gets healthy, what's his potential this year?
Well, he finished 17th in the national cross country meet last year. Obviously was in the national meet in indoor in the 5K and mile, winning a national championship, as you said. Was outdoor 10,000 meter, 5,000 meter All-American. So great potential there, and he would be on a short list of those that would have the potential to win a national title. But where we're at right now, we really don't know with his training. He'll come back strong. He's a very confident athlete, and feel like potential for him to do well still is very good.
I mentioned the regional shift. Basically, we traded the Lone Star Conference, schools in Texas and Oklahoma for the most part, and exchanged that with the Northern Sun, 16 schools predominantly in Minnesota, obviously also in Iowa and Nebraska and some other northern states. Is it a tougher region? Is it equally tough? Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's a deeper region and probably a little more difficult for cross country. We have more than one team that qualifies out of the region for the national championships. Our women actually have 5, our men 4, based on previous years' depth and strength of region. And so, how difficult your region isn't necessarily that important if you get more bids with tougher regions. So, but the depth definitely in the central region, the running in Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Dakotas seems to be a little bit better in the summer than Texas. So I would assume that has a little bit to do with that.
You're also the co-head track and field coach, and even though it's cross-country season in the fall, I know those student athletes are working hard to prepare for their upcoming season, which lasts a long time from outdoor or indoor to outdoor.
Right. Kip's got those kids working out, started about September 10th with general conditioning, doing hill workouts, doing some track workouts. Haven't really done a lot of skill things yet, and that'll come in another month. But we have a great coaching staff that's with a lot of work with athletes right now. So it's a fun time and a busy time.
And you've got a lot of great kids back, but you literally lost some national champions off last year's team. So there are some big track and field shoes to fill.
Right. You know, the group we had last year of seniors was really amazing. Didn't realize we had all that until it was over, and we realized we had multiple national champions in that group. Kids that were academic All-American, 3.85 GPA and higher, and so those type of kids developed here. It was wonderful to be a part of that, but there'll be more coming down the road, we hope.
Congratulations on the success, and best of luck down the stretch of the cross-country season.
Thank you, Shawn.
In just a moment on Sportspage, we'll get to know Mules junior cross-country runner Tyler Stuber. That's next right here on KMOS-TV.
This fall on PBS, they had come to the far edge of the Great Plains in search of a new beginning, in the last place in America where a family could claim a homestead and build a future.
We had the best crop that we had in 1929, and everything was looking up.
A sea of grass, once the domain of Indians and buffalo, disappeared beneath the blade of a plow.
I saw the whole country transformed in the sunset glow. All the brown prairie turned to gold.
But then it was as if the land rejected them. The rains stopped and the winds came.
We saw this cloud coming in, black dirt. And I'll never forget my grandmother. She said, "You kids run and get together, the end of the world's coming."
It came like a black wall, a tide of destruction that crashed over the broken plains, choking the life out of everything in its path.
You never really escaped the dust. It always found its way in, and that's, I think, what drove people crazy.
Some would pull up stakes and move on, but most stayed, always looking to the promise that next year would be better.
We were just too selfish, and we were trying to make money, and it didn't work out.
Ken Burns tells the story of a generation that was buried and what it took to dig out. The Dust Bowl.
You're watching KMOS Channel 6.1, Sedalia, Warrensburg.
Well, compared to last year's team, we definitely lost a couple of our top runners. Dalton Moberly being one, Kevin Denny another. They were typically in the top 5 for us last year. But we've also we've gained some new talent. We've got some guys kind of up and coming. We still have Lobin Cialo. He's still our #1 guy. And basically this year we're just kind of focusing on moving that pack up closer to Lobin, so we can kind of compensate for the upperclassmen that we lost last year. Mainly focusing on working together and moving up as a team in the race instead of, more individual performances. Kirk and I mean, we get along well. Both of us are pretty quiet, so unless something really needs to be said, neither of us will really say anything. I'll stop by his office periodically and kind of check in. We'll talk about things. Some people are in every week. I'm probably more every other week or 2-3 weeks at a time, and kind of get caught up on things and mainly focusing on improving. I consider last year kind of a pretty decent year for me. So I'm trying to focus on what I did last year and maybe improve on it a little bit. I'm not really changing much as far as training, other than maybe putting in a few more miles. This year I've set a couple goals. I'd like to be in the top 10 at the conference meet and the top 25 at the regional meet, which is all region. As a team, I'd like us to make it to nationals. We haven't done that for a couple years now, and I think this will be a good year to do it. This year we have 4 bids to the national meet, meaning the top 4 teams at regionals will qualify for the national meet. And I think we have a good chance this year to be up in that top. As far as this year goes, we really haven't raced too well as a team, just dealing with injuries and things like that. People being tired, you know, towards the end of the year people tend to get a little bit tired, and they're going to have to really kind of push to be able to get where we want to go. I mean, we're going to have to focus on doing that together. Relationship with teammates, yeah, I would describe it as kind of extended family. I mean, a lot of us live together. A lot of us live nearby, if not together, and we spend a lot of time with each other every day, pretty much, and so it's just kind of a big family when you're away from home, you know. Usually just being around them, and if I'm not doing so well, you know, with training or racing, seeing them do well just kind of makes me want to push to be right there with them. Coming out of high school, I wanted a school with an aviation program, and I still wanted to run, and in Missouri that's kind of my only choice. So and it's been a great fit. I've been real happy here with athletics and academics.
The junior from Liberty has a 3.62 GPA in airport management. He's also been solid out of the gates for the 2012 Mules cross country team with 2 top 15 finishes in the first 3 events of the season. In just a moment, we'll tell you where all the Mules and Jennies are competing this weekend as Sportspage rolls on after this timeout.
I choose to finish what I start.
I choose to accomplish my goals.
I choose red to make my family proud.
I choose red because I can take classes that work around my schedule.
I choose red to advance my career.
The University of Central Missouri Summit Center in Lee Summit is a convenient location for finishing your degree. Transfer your credits to UCM and finish what you've started. Learn more at ucmo.edu/GoSummit.
Load up your golf clubs, grab your spikes, and head out to the first tee. As our way of saying thank you for your financial contribution at the $50 level or higher, KMOS will send you a member card. In addition to great discounts at restaurants, attractions, and bed and breakfast all across Missouri, the member card also offers 2-for-1 greens fees at several Missouri golf courses. Improve your swing while taking in beautiful lake vistas. Or experience the Rumble at America's only golf course above an active mine. Take your game to the next level by playing around on us. Call 1-800-753-3436 and support KMOS-TV, Missouri PBS. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chuck Ambrose. Join me as I host Central Missouri Tomorrow. In this episode, we take the show on the road as we visit Missouri's Katy Trail State Park. We'll hit the trail and ride a popular section between Sedalia and Rocheport. Along the way, we'll visit with government leaders and a business owner and hear firsthand the impact Missouri's largest state park has had on the people and communities along its length. Join me for Central Missouri Tomorrow.
Thank you for watching KMOS Channel 6.1, Sedalia, Warrensburg.
This is the Central Missouri Sports Page here on KMOS-TV. It's just about time to say goodbye this week, but before we do, let's check out what's happening this coming week in UCM Mules and Jennies sports. And we start with the Mules football team and a big game for the 4-1 Mules as they travel to Pittsburgh, Kansas this Saturday to take on the number 1 ranked team in Division II, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. Kickoff set for 2 o'clock on Saturday. We'll have the broadcast for you on 1450 Cocoa, 98.5 The Bar, 90.9 The Bridge, and via the internet at warrensburgradio.com. Mules a game out of first in the MIAA. Other league games this week. Northwest Missouri is at Central Oklahoma. Missouri Western visits Northeastern State. Emporia State's at SBU. Washburn travels to Jeff City to take on Lincoln. Truman visits Nebraska Kearney in the MIAA TV game of the week. Lindenwood takes on Fort Hays State in Hays. And in non-conference action, South Dakota School of Mines visits Missouri Southern. The 7th-ranked Jennies volleyball team will host the Peggy Martin Challenge presented by Comfort Inn Friday and Saturday at the Multipurpose Building. Friday night, the Jennies host Arkansas Tech at 7. Saturday, the Jennies will battle Pittsburgh State at 3. Next Wednesday, the Jennies will host Northwest Missouri at 7 in MIAA action. The Jennies soccer team hits the road this weekend. Friday, the Jennies will take on Missouri Southern at 7 o'clock in Joplin. Saturday, the Jennies will be in Ada, Oklahoma for a non-conference in-region matchup with East Central. The Jennies golf team returns to the links this week, October 4th and 5th in the Bearcat Fall Classic in Maryville. And the UCM cross-country teams will take part in the Central Methodist Invitational on Saturday in Fayette. And with that, we conclude this edition of the Central Missouri Sports Page. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we invite you to tune in again next week to learn more on the UCM Mules and Jennies. In the meantime, visit our website, ucmathletics.com, for the latest on Central Missouri Mules and Jennies sports. Until next week, for our entire crew, this is Shawn Jones saying thanks for watching the Central Missouri Sports Page here on KMOS-TV, Missouri PBS. Support for Sports Page is provided by Parker's Supermarket and Pharmacy in Warrensburg. Parker's works hard to supply grocery staples and spices to cook Italian, Mexican, Chinese, Indian, and Thai cuisine. The mission at Parker's is to make grocery shopping a welcoming experience for everyone. By First Central Bank, full-service banking from 6 locations in Warrensburg, Holden, Higginsville, and Odessa. More information is available on their Facebook page or at the website firstcentral.net. Member FDIC. And by Union Station, Crossroads to Technology, a one-stop shopping source for technology needs. Campus-compatible computers, software for Mac and PCs, and much more. Located on campus on the lower floor of the Elliott Union in Warrensburg. Union Station, Crossroads to Technology. And promotional support for Sports Page is provided by 1450 Cocoa and 98.5 The Bar. 1450 Cocoa and 98.5 The Bar, the radio home of University of Central Missouri Athletics.